Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Johnny TCG video. I'm Johnny TCG. I'm excited to see you here today. I was about to go on a run, but then I realized I need to talk about OP08 Charlotte Pudding, the purple-yellow leader that, believe it or not, just got some new support in OP11. The main hype right now is around the purple Katakuri leader that just came out, but with the purple Big Mom Pirate support cards that came out for Katakuri, some of them work really well in Charlotte Pudding, and so I decided to give them a shot and talk about it today. If you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button. Today we're going to take a look at the deck list, talk about it, then do a custom leader giveaway. You're going to want to stick around for that, and then of course we're going to take this deck to the sim, see how it does, and then talk about it afterwards. With that being said, let's get into the deck profile. Like most multicolor leaders, Charlotte Pudding is 4 life, 5,000 power, and then she has the ability of when attacking, you may flip the top 2 cards of your life face up. Then if you do that, you get to ramp a Don as rested from your Don deck. This is a common thing for purple leaders, all about just ramping as fast as possible and then playing out big bodies before your opponent can catch up. The interesting thing about Charlotte Pudding is just the fact that she has access to the Big Mom Pirates cards, most notably the 10 cost Big Mom, folks. 10 cost Big Mom, one of the most feared boss monsters in the entire game. Nowadays, sometimes she can feel kind of slow depending on the matchup. I mean, if you're against a hyper aggressive deck and you're down to like 1 life, this probably won't be enough to save you in the game. But in some matchups, just being able to ramp to this and getting it out on like turn 4 can be absolutely ridiculous and make things really difficult for your opponent to deal with. If you can chain multiple together, that probably will be enough just to win you the game. There are so many decent yellow and purple cards that I feel like could fit into this deck, so at the end of this deck list, I will include an honorable mention section. First up, we're going to take a look at OP08 2 cost 3,000 power Katakuri. I'm only running 3 of these in my deck because it is very situational. Activate main, you may trash this card. Then you may play a Katakuri with the cost of 3 or more, and then less than or equal to the amount of Don cards your opponent has on the field from your hand. So if you're thinking what I'm thinking, folks, we're going to cheat out this 8 cost Katakuri with only a 2 cost body. It's as simple as that. Now, since this is so situational, you probably won't be seeing this every game, but when it comes up, you can make some diabolical combos. This is especially good against ramping decks like Luffy or Blue-Purple Luffy. When you're playing against them, the fact that they're ramping isn't the biggest deal, hopefully, because you're going to be able to cheat out an 8 cost body with only 2 Don. Again, hopefully. What's noteworthy is I'm not running the 8 cost yellow Katakuri. I was testing him out a lot with 2 copies in the deck, and I just didn't find he was worth it. Some situations, of course, he was beneficial, but I can't say that most of the time I was really happy to play him over an 8 cost purple Katakuri or just maybe something else. There's already plenty of bricks in this deck, so I didn't really feel like adding more. He got the chopping block, and so I cut him out, but if you love him, I definitely don't think he's a crazy addition to the deck. Up next, we're running more OP08 support, and that is the 6 cost 7,000 power 1k counter Charlotte Katakuri. He is an amazing turn 3 play after you used your leader ability. He's got the awesome on play ability of being able to flip the top card of your life face down, and then if you do that, you get to ramp a Don as active. So playing this and then also using your leader ability, you are really ramping so fast, folks. It's absolutely epic. The issue with him sometimes is just finding him, but he is undoubtedly your best 6 Don play. There's not really a lot of 6 Don plays in this deck besides comboing other cards like a searcher and a blocker. Throwing a lot of Don in your leader. That is probably one of my deck's weaknesses, but at the same time, I'm just so focused on the top end that I'm not exactly sure what to put in for like 6 or 7 Don. I feel like there's so many cards I want to add, but just not enough room. We're running 2 9 cost Charlotte Linlands from OP08, 9 cost 9,000 power. She's got the ability, you all probably hate this card right now if you're not a Blue-Purple Luffy player. On play, Don -1, trash 1 card from your hand, then add the top card of your deck to the top of your life cards. Then you may choose one of your opponent's cost 6 or less characters, add that to the top or bottom of their life cards. So yeah, just an amazing card, especially when ramping to it. The fact that you have to trash a card from hand sometimes feels bad, and of course we're more so looking to ramp to our 8 cost Katakuri and our 10 cost Big Mom. That's why I'm only running her at 2, but if you say that I should be running more top end and not worried about the fact that they're counterless, I'll definitely hear you out. I really like this card. 2 7 cost 7,000 power Sanji. This is from OP09 with 1k of counter. He's got the ability of on play, you may return 1 or more Don to your Don deck. If you do that, he gains rush and also gets to rest one of your opponent's cost 6 or less characters. This is a great finisher. Honestly, I'm trying to figure out a way to get maybe more, just because at the end of the game, he really can be so helpful to go for game. Next, we've got 3 Charlotte Nanas. I am really loving this card. I've loved it in purple Katakuri, and I'm loving it in this deck as well. A 1 cost 1,000 blocker with 1 1k of counter. How can you beat that value, folks? Technically, she's not always a blocker because her being a blocker relies on the fact that you have another Big Mom Pirates type character on the field. But with this deck list, you're almost always going to have another Big Mom Pirates type character, and if you don't, you're probably cooked anyway. So that's why I really like her. 3 seems like a good number, but I don't think 4 is crazy at all. Just a nice little chump blocker to have on the field. We've got 4 of the 8 cost category, folks. The man, the myth, the legend. This card is so good to ramp into. Not only is an 8,000 power blocker, he's an 8,000 power swing every single turn because you can just restand him at the end of your turn. He's also going to help you get back Don for whatever reason. If you need Don, it's a great way to get back Don. If you're not familiar with him, you better get familiar with him because he's going to be all over the meta, whether that be blue purple Luffy, purple Katakuri, and even this deck. I'm running 4 of the new OP11 3 cost 4,000 power Charlotte Brûlés. This has 1k of counter, and honestly, this card can be really greedy sometimes. She's got the ability of on play, you may add the top card of your life to your hand, and then you get to ramp a Don as active. Starting out as a 4 life leader can already be sketchy at times, and the fact that you're going to take your life as a 4 life leader feels really sketchy sometimes. Maybe it's just me, maybe I get too nervous, but sometimes I do get nervous about playing this card. But at the same time, it does allow you to ramp, and in certain situations, ramping is more important than keeping those life cards at the top of your life, just because if you're able to ramp and then get the 10 cost Linlin off a turn sooner, then you're getting that life card right back. You just have to be careful about how aggressive you're being with this, I guess. Next, we got the new Charlotte Pudding Searcher from OP11 as well. 1 cost, 0 power, 1k of counter. She's got the ability of on play. Look at the top 5 with the Big Mom Pirates card with a cost of 2 or more. That is a very important distinction, folks. Keep that in mind. Then she also has the ability of activate main, down -1. You may rest her and then also take a look at the top card of your opponent's deck. I actually really like using this ability late in the game. It's not amazing against blue purple Luffy because they can do their whole ability of looking at the top 5 before they draw, so they can actually get a card that wasn't the one that you actually saw. But against other leaders, this is huge, especially late in the game if they don't have a lot of cards in hand. Being able to see the top card of their deck tells you a lot about what cards are in their hand, of course. Absolutely no complaints here. I love her at a 4 of. Again, Usohachi, one of the best purple cards in the game. Maybe I should find a way to get him to 4, just because he is goated when it comes at the end of the game, trying to rest one of your opponent's blockers. He's got the ability of, if you have 8 or more Don, rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. With a 2k counter, that is just amazing. Not a lot to say here, folks. You know Usohachi, you love Usohachi. Tell me in the comments down below if I'm crazy for not running him at more. Maybe I gotta test him out and bump him up. Next, we've got Viola from EB01. Only running 2 copies of these, but I really do like this card in this deck. 2 cost, 0 power. A blocker that's not really amazing for her stats, but her on play is really important to this deck. She's got the on play of either turning all your life cards face down or looking at and sorting your opponent's life cards. This is an amazing way to reset your life cards so that you can use leader ability again the next turn. It's also just a cheap blocker to throw on the field sometimes, and depending on what deck you're playing, being able to sort your opponent's life can actually be really helpful, especially late in the game. Again, I'm saying this about a lot of cards, but I don't think you're crazy to bump it up to 4. There are just so many options with this deck that it's hard to find the perfect 51 card list. Next, we've got 4 of the OG OP03 Charlotte Pudding Searchers. This is a simple look at the top 4 cards of your deck for a Big Mom Pirates card other than Charlotte Pudding or a Sanji card, which is crazy because then we can actually search up this Sanji, which can be huge. But for the most part, she's just a searcher. I'm playing her out turn 1, looking for those 10 cost Big Moms, baby. 10 cost Big Mom of Menace that hasn't really been in the meta recently. 10 cost, 12,000 power. On play, you gain a life by taking the top card of your deck, adding it to your life cards. Then you trash the top of your opponent's life. What more do you want me to say about this card, folks? It is an absolute monster. You hate to see it coming. It's not going to save you in every single situation, but if you can get one of these out early, that's kind of the name of the game for this deck. Just get this card out and win, ideally. Next, we've got 4 copies of the 3 cost, 3,000 power Capone Beige, a 2k counter, but then everyone knows his trigger ability up to one of your opponent's characters or leader cannot attack for the rest of this turn. This is insane, folks. This has won me games. I don't want to spoil anything, but you might see that in the gameplay later. If you're not seeing him out of life, of course, he is a little underwhelming, but at the end of the day, he can still be used as a 2k. I think you gotta run him. Maybe. I mean, if you're someone with divine luck like me, you should probably run some beiges in your list. Next, we've got another new OP11 card, and this is OP11 Zeus. Zeus is a 2-cost, 2000 power body with 2k counter. The stat line's not crazy, but besides the counter, he's got the ability, though, of adding the top card of your life to your hand, then KOing one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. This is amazing removal early on in the game. Of course, it feels bad to take your own life, but in a game against Rob Lucci, for example, if they establish the 4-cost Kuzan or the Laboon, it's going to be really hard to get it off the board if it's not turned sideways, and if it's not turned sideways, they're just going to be able to pop whatever you already established, so ramping doesn't really help that much. This card is a must. I'm loving it in this deck, and I think you should give it a shot yourself. Going towards the events, I'm running one Ragnarok. I really like Ragnarok. I'm a big believer in it because it works in a lot of different matchups. There's a lot of 8 costs that are relevant to the current meta. Ragnarok is a 5-cost event, Don -1, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 8 or less. Simple as that, folks. Maybe even running 2 wouldn't be crazy. Last but not least, we've got 3 copies of the 0-cost 3000 power counter event. You're the one who should disappear. This is your typical trash a card from your hand, give your leader or one of your characters plus 3000 power, but then it also has the diabolical trigger that if you have 0 life cards, you might add the top card of your deck to your life and then trash a card from your hand. Now that ability still works even if you have 0 cards in hand. Again, this is another way to win the game simply off a trigger. You hate to see it. Sometimes it feels bad to win off a trigger, but also, I mean, who's not going to take advantage of this, you know? This is a really good event. I'm only running it at 3. You could run it at 4. You could run it at 2. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Folks, I literally have here 28 cards that would be at least decent in this deck if maybe you were missing pieces. Like, there are so many good options in yellow and purple, especially when you consider the fact that you're ramping. Like, just try any of these out. If you have any of these, maybe you're missing cards in the deck list I provided, then I would definitely try some of these cards from this list. I'm not going to go over everyone, of course, but I think there's a lot of decent choices at least. Some people may roast me for some of my picks, but I'm talking about decent. You know, these are the honorable mentions. And with that being said, that's the deck list I got for you. If you can see your curve perfectly, and maybe the blue-purple Luffy stumbles a little bit on their curve, if they don't see the Sanji Linlin combo right away, you can really sneak up on them just getting out these big bodies. You're able to ramp just as fast as them, sometimes even faster. Other matchups like Lucci, of course, even though you're ramping, still feel bad. Maybe it's just me, but we don't really have a great way to deal with a turn 2 Kuzan from them. And then even if you're establishing a bigger body, it can just be hard to deal with that, and it's just going to wreak havoc on you, folks. With that being said, let's get into the giveaway. I know you're all waiting for it. Today we're going to be giving away a custom Charlotte Pudding leader using art from the One Piece Treasure Cruise game. I am not the artist. I am not selling this. This is just a fun personal fan project of mine. If you want to win, you have to do 2 things. You have to 1, leave a like, and 2, leave a comment. It's as simple as that, folks. If this video gets 30 likes in the first 24 hours, I'll randomly choose a US-based commenter and send it to you completely free. With that being said, folks, consider hitting that subscribe button if you enjoy the content, if you want to stay up to date. Let's get into the gameplay, folks. I know you're ready for it. Our first game of the day is going to be against a blue-yellow Nami from OP11. This will be an interesting matchup for sure. I mulligan that first hand, and I can't say the second hand is amazing, but it is kind of decent despite what you may think initially. We do have that 6-cost Katakuri, which helps us ramp. We have that 5-cost Ragnarok event, which is an amazing way to get rid of an 8-cost Eustace Captain Kidd that most blue-yellow Nami decks are playing. 2 Don, we do not have any early plays. We'll pass it back to them. We love to see a Charlotte Pudding Searcher for sure. 3 Don for them to work with. They might just swing big here. They'll be able to use their leader ability because I will probably take this. You know, sometimes I do counter out of these early swings by Namis just because I don't want them to get that early card draw. And I'm usually not too worried about it. And with Charlotte Pudding being a 4-life leader, sometimes it does feel sketchy taking the early life. But in this case, I will take it. I don't really think there's any point in countering this early. I'll take it. We get the 8-cost Katakuri, which is good news. They get to draw a card. That's a little bit of a bummer for us, but it is what it is. 4 Don for us to work with. I could play Charlotte Brûlée. It does feel a little bit greedy to do so, but I think I will. 6,000 now. I'll start with our leader. I wouldn't be surprised if they 2k counter out of this or take it. They have 4 life after all. But Nami doesn't mind countering out early so they can keep their hand size below 7. We will play down the 3-cost Charlotte Brûlée and then also play out the Charlotte Anana that we got out of our life. Going down to 2 life right now is pretty crazy, but we do have that 1-cost Anana blocker, and I think the double ramp was worth it because we'll be able to play out the 8-cost Katakuri next turn, which is an absolute beast. 5,000 at us right away with their leader. The only reason I hesitate to do anything here is because I'm considering blocking with the Anana because they have so many cards cards in their deck that could pop the Anana. I'm worried that I'm going to play around on her not getting any value. But I decided 1k counter out of that. They are going to play down the 5-cost Nami blocker here. I'm not really too worried about that. It will be able to apply some pressure. They did get a 3-card cycle, which is pretty crazy, but not the biggest deal in the world, folks. 5,000 now with our leader. They could free block, but it looks like they might take this or counter out of it. Either way, they will counter with a 1k Nami blocker. I think they should have free blocked, but they don't know what I have in my hand, so I can't really blame them. We're going to play down the 8-cost Katakuri. We're going to be able to gain a rested Don, which is crazy. With 7 Don to work with, they're going to play down the starter deck 7 Charlotte Linlin. I haven't seen this card in a minute. I know some blue-yellow Namis are running it, but not all of them are. While it feels really bad, I'm going to trash the top card of my life because I'm going to heal one with our 10-cost Linlin next turn. They don't swing with their leader or their Nami blocker. I think they should have swung with either of them, both of them. It doesn't really matter. Just to keep applying pressure. One of those would have been a free block with Katakuri, but yeah, I mean, I don't think it would be too big of a deal to do so. 5,000 now, I'll start out with my leader. This could be a free block, and yes, they will free block with the Nami. Now I'm going to swing 8,000 with our Katakuri blocker into the rested Nami. I'm thinking here we can either get cards out of hand or control the board. Either way, that sounds good to me. Now for 10 down, I'll play down the 10-cost Linlin, trash one of their life cards, gain a life card for ourselves, and then pass it back to them. 8-cost Katakuri gets to restand himself. That is pretty epic. I would love to see another 10-cost Big Mom. I have to be a little bit careful here depending on what they have. An 8-cost Useless Captain Kid would be very nice for them. They'll be able to trash the top card of my life. 9 Don for them to work with. For 8 Don, we will see that Useless Captain Kid. They're able to trash the top card of my life, which was an 8-cost Katakuri. That is an absolute bummer. Would have loved to have that Katakuri on the board too. Alas, it is what it is. Now 6,000 with their Nami. I'm thinking here we block with the Charlotte Anana, oh my god, I hate that card's name. It just feels so weird to pronounce. Now they're going to swing 8,000 with their Charlotte Linlin. I'm going to block and then counter with a 1k counter here with our Charlotte Katakuri. Now 6,000 with their Nami, and I'm going to counter out of this one as well. I really don't want to go down to 0 life. We get the top deck 10-cost Big Mom. That is pretty epic. I'm debating playing it here. First, I want to clear their board a little bit, though, because I don't even know if a 10-cost Big Mom would be enough. I'm going to start out with a 12,000 power Big Mom swing into their 7-cost Big Mom. That goes. I'm very happy about that. Now I'm thinking, do we clear the Nami 8,000 with Katakuri and the Nami? If they let it go, this will be great news as well. Then I can maybe clear the Useless Captain Kid with our 5-cost Ragnarok event, then play down a Charlotte Anana and the 1-cost Charlotte Pudding to do another search. 8,000 into 6,000. They are going to counter out of that, but with 2/2Ks, so they over countered there. Hopefully that means they don't have a lot of counter in their hand, maybe no 1Ks. I'm going to do a Charlotte Pudding search right here and take another 10-cost Big Mom. These will be nice to chain together. Obviously I can't play them this turn, but potentially next turn. The rest of my turn I'm going to use trying to clear this Nami. I'm going to swing 8,000 into it with our leader. If they want to save it, they're going to have to give us 2 cards, and they let it go. This is huge for us, folks. This is quite the change of tide in the battle. We're going to use Ragnarok, get rid of that 8-cost Useless Captain Kid, restand an 8-cost Katakuri, and pass it back to them, folks. We're also able to restand our 10-cost Big Mom, of course. They've got 10 Don to work with, but I'm not really too concerned with whatever they play here. We have 2 blockers on the field, and they won't be able to deal with both of them. They are going to have the 8-cost Useless Captain Kid here, which will trash the top card of our life, but that's not the biggest deal. We're going to be able to heal that with the 10-cost Big Mom next turn. They're going to swing 6,000 into our life, but of course we can just free block that with our Charlotte Katakuri. Now we're just going to kind of play control-y here, folks. We're going to start with a 12,000 power swing into their 8-cost Useless Captain Kid. If they let this go, or if they didn't let it go, that would actually be pretty awkward for us, because then we wouldn't want to play down a 10-cost Lilin. At least I don't think I'd want to play down one. I think I'd really prioritize getting it off the board. We're going to swing 5,000 with our leader. They'll use leader ability to go up to 2,000 or up 2,000 power. Now an 8,000 power swing from our leader. They'll 2K out of that. And now here it comes, folks. We're just going to drop a bunch of 10-cost Big Moms. 10-cost Big Mom hits the floor. We're going to gain 1 life, trash one of our opponent's lives. It was a Gum Gum Red Rock. That's huge. Now we're actually going to be able to use Charlotte Pudding's ability here. It's not really meant for purple-yellow pudding, but it is helpful to see what they're going to have in their hand. We just saw they got that 6-cost Linlin, which is decently strong, but in this situation, I'm not really too worried about it. They're going to use Gum Gum Red Rock to bottom deck our Charlotte Katakuri. That's a little bit of a bummer. Now 8,000 at us with their leader. I'm thinking we block this with Charlotte Anana, just to play it safe. There's no reason to keep Charlotte and Nana on the board, so let's block this here, and then next turn we might actually be able to go for game, dropping the 10 cost Linlin. We'll be able to trash the top card of their life. I actually probably don't even need the 10 cost Linlin in this situation, but it can't hurt. I'm going to start out with a 5,000 power leader poke. Of course, they're going to use their leader ability. I'll play down a 10 cost Big Mom, trashing the top card of their life. Now with 12,000 power swing, I mean, technically, depending on what they have at the top of their, or in their hand, they could maybe win this or get out of this, but there's no way they're going to be able to kill us next turn anyway. They're going to be able to get up to 10,000, 12,000, and they don't have another 1k of counter. GG's, on to the next one, folks. That felt really good in the beginning. I feel like they were definitely in the lead, but that double ramp play that was really risky with the Charlotte Brulite and our leader ability, I think definitely paid off. Our next game's against Blue Purple Luffy, folks. This is the big bad deck of the format. This will be an interesting matchup for sure. I'm not exactly sure how it goes. I've seen it both ways in my testing. I really think that Pudding has a chance if we can just see the perfect curve. They're going to start out with the ramp event and then swing 7,000 at us, which we'll take. We've got a Charlotte Pudding Searcher, which we'll do. We do have that 2 cost Katakuri in our hand, and we know we love to combo that with an 8 cost Katakuri, and because we're playing a deck that ramps, we're going to be able to cheat out that Katakuri earlier than normal. They're going to counter out of my first swing, and then I will play down the Charlotte Anana blocker. 6 Don for them already to work with. They're going to have the 5 cost Nami blocker from OP11 to play out. Draw 3, put 2 at the top or bottom of their deck. They'll send 2 cards to the bottom of their deck, then probably swing 7 at us again, or they'll do 6, maybe leave a Don up for a counter event. I'm wondering if I should block here, but maybe I just take this. It's tempting to counter out, but I really don't have a ton of counter in hand. Now we're going to do a 1 cost Pudding Search. We were looking for that 6 cost Katakuri. Perfect thing to play right now, being able to flip the top card of our life down, ramp a Don, then we'll be able to swing 6,000 with our leader. They can't free block out of this, folks. Who doesn't love swinging 6,000 at Blue Purple Luffy? Next turn, we are in the perfect position to start dropping our big bodies. They'll take that leader swing, and I'll pass it back to them. Now they're going into their 8 Don turn. They're going to start out with a 6,000 power swing from their leader. Again, tempting to block with Charlotte and Nana, but I am going to counter instead. I'm going to be able to heal life, so taking life I guess isn't really the biggest deal, but Blue Purple Luffy can swarm the board with big bodies just like that, so I don't want to go too far down and really dig myself into a hole. I'm debating here whether or not I want to play 8 cost Katakuri or the 10 cost Big Mom. I decided to go with the 10 cost Big Mom just because the 8 cost Katakuri, while an amazing blocker and he will be able to apply pressure, is not able to get over their 8 cost Katakuri. So it's a little bit of an awkward situation. I'm not really too worried about them swinging into my 10 cost Big Mom. I don't swing there with our 6 cost 7,000 power Katakuri because it would just get free blocked by their 8 cost Katakuri. Woo, that was a mouthful, folks. They're going to use leader ability to draw another 5 cost OP11 Nami, playing that out, drawing 3, putting 2 at the bottom of their deck. No big bodies here is very good news for us. Now 7,000 with Nami, their other Nami blocker. Oh, folks, I think we're alright to take this and then maybe block with Charlotte Anana on one of their other swings. We'll see what they do with the 4 Don they have left up. We'll definitely see a Charlotte Katakuri swing here. 8,000 we will block out with Charlotte and Nana. We did get an 8 cost Katakuri. We've got a ton of those. Next turn, we might be able to play 2 of those, which is pretty insane. Now an 8,000 power swing from their leader, and I accidentally under counter for that. I'm a fool, folks. Hopefully I didn't just throw the game. Put an F in the chat. You can comment, Johnny, you absolutely stink. I will not be offended. I deserve it. I'm going to start out my turn with a 7,000 power swing into their rested Nami blocker. They'll 2k counter out of that. Now I'm going to swing 12,000 into the Nami blocker. Rested 12,000 into the Nami blocker. Might be a little bit dramatic, but I am nervous about the pressure they're going to be able to put on us next turn. I'm thinking here we do an 8 cost Katakuri, then cheat out another 8 cost Katakuri using the 2 cost Katakuri. That is pretty absurd, folks. We're going to be able to play out the 2 cost, trash it, play out the 8 cost Katakuri. The only bad thing about that plan is that you do go down 2 cards from hand, which does feel a little bit bad. Now with our Katakuris, we're able to restand our 6 cost Katakuri. We've got our 10 cost restood as well. They're going to have 10 Don. They're able to use leader ability to draw another promo Nami that is a 2k counter. Now, hopefully they don't have a 9 cost Sanji and a 9 cost Linlin, but we'll see. Of course, that's always their ideal play. 6,000 with their leader into our leader. I'm thinking we'd free block, but I guess I decided to counter. I think that's a little bold of me, but it is what it is. 8,000 into our leader, we will block and then counter out of that with Charlotte and Nana. They will just have the 9-cost Linlin here. They'll probably put the 6-cost Katakuri at the top of our life and then heal themselves a life, of course. I'm thinking here we just play down the 10-cost Linlin, heal another life, and then trash a life from them. That seems like a pretty good plan, folks. Me being able to play 2 8-cost Katakuris on one turn is just so diabolical, folks. It doesn't get much better than that. We trashed a 9-cost Sanji from their life. Huge news, folks. Huge news. 8,000 now with our Charlotte Katakuri into their leader. They'll counter out of that. Now an 8,000 power swing from our other Kata blocker. They will have the Gum Gum Giant there. They'll trash a Mr. Tubon Clay. They'll get out of that. I'm going to use the Pudding's effect here to look at the top card of their deck. Not that it really makes any sort of difference. I'm going to swing 12,000 with our other 10-cost Big Mom. They will let that hit, which is interesting. And then we will pass it back to them, restanding our 10-cost Big Mom, an 8-cost Katakuri, and another 8-cost Katakuri. If we see another 10-cost Big Mom, folks, this next turn, it might be over. They're going to go into their 10-down turn. They do find that Usohachi using leader ability, a 2k counter. They'll start out with a 6,000 power swing from their leader. I think I take this. Yeah, we'll take that. We get the 2k counter Zeus, which is also a great way to get rid of a blocker. 8,000 now with the Charlotte Katakuri. We will block and then counter out of that. 9,000 now with the Charlotte Linlin. I think we take this as well. We do get the beige trigger, and I don't think it would have been crazy to use on the Nami in case they really wanted to pressure us, but I didn't think they'd want to do that. I think they'd rather let the Nami stay up so they have protection this next turn. This next turn, I might just use the Zeus to pop the Nami. And in hindsight, that's definitely what I should have done. I'm going to play down the 7-cost Sanji here to rest the Nami, and my thought process was it's another swing into them, but I think that doesn't make sense like mathematically. I think it would have made more sense for me to play Zeus, pop the Nami, and then swing, put that down I would have used to play Sanji on my leader. So yeah, maybe a little bit silly there, folks. You can also put in the chat as well that I'm a fool again. We're going to do an 8,000 power swing with Katakuri. They are going to counter out of that. Folks, I'm getting a little nervous. 9,000 now with our leader. They're going to have Gum Gum Giant. They're going to be able to get out of that. They now have 4 cards in their hand and 1 life card. This could get a little sketchy, folks. Now we're going to swing 9,000 with Sanji. They're going to need 2 2Ks. I actually think we're going to be fine, but I am a little bit nervous about that. If they're able to counter out of this, they take that, and now they would need to get out of 12,000 power swing, or of course they do have that 8-cost Katakuri as well, which I definitely forgot about. Now we'll swing 12,000. It wouldn't be crazy if they had a couple of 2Ks in their hand and were able to get out of that, maybe a 0-cost counter event, but they were not. GG's. I feel like I got lucky there. I made a couple misplays, but we got the job done. Good for us. On to the next one. Now we've got a game against Purple Katakuri, the deck that most of the new support that we are putting in our deck was actually made for. They're going to start out on the odd curve playing down that Charlotte Pudding Searcher. They do find that OP08 2-cost Katakuri, which this matchup's going to be a little bit awkward because we're able to ramp faster than them. They are going to probably be able to cheat out a big Katakuri for only 2 Don. You hate to see that, folks. We're going to do double searchers and take 2 10-cost Big Moms. That's pretty crazy. 2 double Big Moms is just pretty epic. I mean, I could have chose other cards, and maybe taking 2 non-counter cards was a little bit greedy, but I think we'll be all right. We just got to ramp and hopefully find the pieces we need. They're going to start out with a big 8,000 power swing at our life. No leader ability there. We're definitely going to take this. No way I'm going to counter out of this swing. We get the 6-cost Katakuri, which will be a nice way to ramp for us. We're going to start out with the 5,000 power leader swing, using leader ability to ramp it down. 4 Don left for us to work with. They'll take that hit, and then they will get the God Thread trigger. They get to ramp it down. That's a little bit of a bummer, folks. We'll play down the 3-cost Brûlée so that we can ramp down of our own, and then we will play 2 Charlotte Ananas, really blockering up right now. Even if they have, for example, like a Charlotte Oven that can pop an Anana, at least we got another. We also have that Charlotte Pudding that can let us know at the top of our opponent's deck. I guess that's not really too relevant right now, but it could hypothetically be relevant. I also wouldn't be surprised if they used Oven's ability to pop our Charlotte Brûlée, just because the Charlotte Brûlée could be a potential attacker. We're going to block that first leader swing with one of our Charlotte Ananas, and they'll probably get rid of it here as well. They'll take a look at the top of my deck, reveal that it's a Zeus, a nice 2K for us to find, and then they'll pop the Anana, passing it back to us. 1 Don for them left to work with. 8 Don for us to work with. You know what time it is, folks. I'm going to start out with a 5,000 power leader swing into that Charlotte Oven. I really want to get that off the board. They will let it go. I guess as the game progresses, it's not going to be too helpful, but yeah, just happy to get a potential swing off the board. Now we're going to use Charlotte Pudding's ability, nothing too crazy there, and then also play out the 8 cost Katakuri. We're in a pretty good spot. Unfortunately, it looks like they're going to be able to play a Katakuri of their own, cheating it out for only 2 Don. They will still have a bunch of Don to work with, 6 Don to be exact. This could be awkward, folks, depending on what else they have. They'll swing into the Rested Pudding, of course, 0 into 0. I will let that go. I could also free block and be a little cheeky, but I'll save my block for their leader swing. They're going to play down a 4 cost Oven again. Not really too worried about that in this point of the game. That turn could have been a lot worse. Then they're going to give 2 Don to their leader, swing 8,000 at us, and I'm going to block and then counter with our 8 cost Katakuri, 9,000 power. They're going to pass it back to us. I'm thinking here that we just drop the 10 Mom, folks. We top deck another 10 Mom. That's insane. They'll be able to pop the Brûlée, but I don't really care about that. Folks, this is pretty epic. At least I think it's epic. We've got a couple of 2Ks in our hand. We're going to be able to heal life, trash life from our opponent. Of course, Charlotte Katakuri is not a deck to be slept on, so they could definitely come back there. There's no way they are completely out of it, but it is cool that we're going to be able to drop 3 big bombs in a row if we really want to. We'll start with the 2,000 power swing into their Rested Pudding. Of course, they're going to let that go. Now a 5,000 power swing into their leader. They might free block this or just use leader ability for free. I guess it makes more sense for them to use the leader ability for free, basically. They are 6,000 power. They don't have to do anything there. Now an 8,000 power swing into their life. I wouldn't be surprised if they take this or just block and counter with their own 8 cost Katakuri. No way they'll let this Katakuri go. They will 1k counter out of that. Now it's time for our first 10 cost Big Mom. I think we're getting ourselves into a really good position here, folks. We're going to restand our 8 cost Katakuri and pass it back to them. 10 Don for them to work with. Hypothetically, they could cheat out 2 8 cost Katakuris, but that is unlikely the case. They will have that 10 cost Big Mom, who is an absolute beast and actually pretty scary in this matchup. I don't really have any way to deal with her. 6,000 with their leader and us. I'm thinking we 2k counter out of that, 2k countering out of the attacks that we can. So yeah, 6,000 into 5,000. We'll 2k counter out of that with Zeus. Now I expect a 5,000 power swing with Oven. They surprise me and go into the Rested Pudding. They definitely should have went into my life there. 8,000 now with Katakuri. We'll take that, and then they're going to swing 12,000 into our life. We're going to take that as well. That was probably a little bit greedy, folks. Maybe I should have blocked and countered with our 8 cost Katakuri when they swung their 8 cost Katakuri. Now I might not even play 10 cost Big Mom. I might play down the 8 cost Katakuri. We'll see. I'll start out with a 5,000 power leader swing into their Charlotte Oven. I imagine they'll let this go. Not wanting to turn their Charlotte Katakuri sideways to block. 8,000 now with our 8 cost Katakuri into their life. They are surprisingly going to double 2k counter out of that. That really catches me off guard. 12,000 now with our leader into their life. I imagine they'll take this, and then we'll probably just drop the 10 cost Big Mom, play that out, heal a life, trash a life, using Katakuri's ability. I misclick and don't restand him. This is disastrous, folks. I think I'm still okay to survive this next turn. I don't think there's any way I lose, just because I have a decent amount of counter in hand with 2 1ks, a 2k in that 0 cost counter event, and 2 life, of course. 10 down for them to work with. They could hypothetically swing 6, 8, 12, 12 with their leader ability if they have another 10 cost Big Mom. We'll see, though. That's a bummer, though. I got to stop making these misplays, folks. I got to stop recording gameplay at night when I'm tired. We'll see if they have anything here to save them. I think we've got this game in the bag, though. No way for them to interact with my 2 10 cost Big Moms. And this next turn, I'll have another 10 cost Big Mom to trash a life. Maybe if they just fill up the board with blockers, that could be pretty awkward. They're going to start by giving 4 Don to their 8 cost Katakuri, swinging 12,000 at us. We are going to take this. Now they're going to have 6 Don left to work with. They're going to swing 12,000 at us with their leader. And this is actually pretty awkward, folks. If I did not get this beige, if it was like a 0 counter card, I actually lose this game. The beige, of course, being the icing on the cake of being able to use his ability and prevent the Linlin from attacking. I would not have been in that situation if I didn't misclick and restand the 8 cost Katakuri blocker. So, yeah, I mean, I'm going to include this game anyway. We're still going to win, but misclicks happen, folks. Misplays happen. I hope you don't hate that I included this game or any of my misplays, really. I'm not a perfect player, but I think the games are still worth watching. Hopefully so. You can let me know in the comments down below if you hate the content, and I won't hate you for it. 8,000 now with our Charlotte Katakuri. They're taking their time. I don't think there's any way for them to survive here. I do forget that they do have that 10 cost Linlin ability, and that's why they're taking so long. They're going to use their leader ability, then use Linlin's ability. This gives them an extra 2,000 power for the rest of the turn. I think this might be futile, though. They're going to be able to get to 8,000 here. If they have a 1k, they can get out of this attack, but they won't be able to get out of the rest of the attacks I have for them. I have a 12,000 power swing at them now. They're a 7,000 power base leader. They'll block with Katakuri, and then we'll swing 12,000, and that is going to be game, folks. GG's. We got to clean up these misplays. On to the next one. Now we've got a game against Green Purple Luffy, who, while took over the EBO2 meta, probably won't take over the OP11 meta like he did in EBO2. He's still definitely going to be a good leader, though. That's what the word on the street is, at least. We'll see how these new starter decks coming out tomorrow shake things up. We'll see. I'm going to be on the odd curve. We start out with the Charlotte Pudding, and we will find that 6 cost Charlotte Katakuri. I'm a little bit nervous that this Green Purple Luffy is just going to be too fast for us, too aggressive, and they're just going to overwhelm us, and playing down the 10 cost Big Mom is not really going to be enough. 2 down for them to work with. They've got double searchers and find a Sanji Pudding and a Zoro from EBO2. That is a pretty good turn, folks. We're going to start out with a 5,000 power leader swing, leaving 3 down up for a Charlotte Brulee play. Or maybe not. Maybe I should be a Charlotte Pudding play. Charlotte Brulee is a little bit pushing my luck, I think. Off the Charlotte Pudding, I am going to take the 10 cost Big Mom, but I think in hindsight, maybe I should have taken the Brulee just because it's more counter. Am I really going to have the time in this game to drop 2 Big Moms? We'll see. Then for 2 down, I'll play down the Viola, able to turn our life down, and yeah, that's much better than the Brulee play, no doubt in my mind. Passing it back to them, they've got 4 down to work with. We could see that EBO2 Zoro here being able to rest our Viola and clear it very easily. That's exactly what they're going to do, folks. They'll rest our Viola, swing 2,000 into it with their Nami Searcher. I've got to let that go. Nothing I can do there. Then they're going to be able to swing 5,000 with their leader. I will take this. We get the 0 cost counter event. Now we will swing 5,000 with our leader into their leader, using leader ability to ramp. Then we're going to be able to use our 6 cost Katakuri to flip our life down and ramp again. We are going to be in the position to drop a 10 cost Big Mom next turn, which is pretty crazy. They're going to counter out of that leader swing. Then they'll let the Nami go when we swing 3,000 into it with a Charlotte Pudding Searcher. For 5 down, they have the Sanji and Pudding, and this is where things get weird, folks. Sanji and Pudding, such a good card, especially in this deck. 4 down for them to work with after using leader ability. Those leader ability shenanigans are so annoying. For 1 down, they're going to play down the Going Merry, being able to plus the cost of their Sanji and Pudding by 2. If I had a 9 cost Big Mom this following turn, I would not be able to use her effect on it. They're going to swing 7,000 with their Zoro. We will take that. Now 7,000 with their leader. We'll 0 cost counter out of that. A 3rd Big Mom hits our hand. That is a little bit dramatic. I definitely do not need 3. We'll see how this game goes, folks. We're going to swing 5,000 into their Zoro. They'll keep it alive with counter. 7,000 with our Katakuri into it. If they keep it alive here, that does make things awkward, folks. If they have the secret rush, double attack, basically double attack Luffy this next turn, it could be bad news for us. They are going to counter to keep that alive. We'll play down the 10 cost Big Mom. We get a Sanji and Pudding out of their life, which is good news, and then we'll pass it back to them. For 4 down, they'll have the Zoro Joro. If we can stay alive here, we're going to be in a good position, which I think we should, but just the fact that we don't have a lot of counter in hand, I'm feeling a little bit nervous. We've got the Charlotte Anana blocker, which would be nice to play next turn, but of course I can't play that out and a 10 cost Linlin. We'll see if they ignore my rested Katakuri and just swing straight into life. I think that makes the most sense for them. They've got 6 down to work with right here. They're going to start out with the 7,000 power swing into the Katakuri. And I am debating on whether or not to counter out of this. In hindsight, maybe I should have, just to keep it alive and tempt them to swing into that instead of my life, but I don't. I let it go. I want to keep the counter in my hand. Whether or not that was the right decision, you can let me know in the comments down below. They're going to give 1 down to their Zoro, swing 6,000 at us. We'll take that. We get the Charlotte Pudding Searcher. Nothing too crazy there. A 1k counter at least. Then with 5 down left up, if they were just to throw this all on their leader, that would be pretty awkward. I imagine they'll probably maybe have a blocker. I don't know what else they'll play for 5 down. Maybe another Sanji and Pudding. That would be kind of crazy, but they'd have no down up for a Gum Gum Giant perhaps. if they wanted it. They'll play down the Zoro for 4. We are going to counter out of that leader swing. Off the Zoro, they do find that secret rare Luffy, so I gotta be careful. Next turn could be rough. We're going to start out with a 5,000 power leader swing into their Zoro. I imagine they're going to keep this alive just to be annoying, just to irk me. And moment of truth, are they going to keep it alive? They've got 5 cards in hand. They're taking a little bit of time. Maybe they're trying to do the math of if they keep it alive, will they be able to keep the Sanji and Pudding alive? They let it go. Now 12,000 into the Sanji and Pudding, and I assume they have a Gum Gum Giant, and they're going to be able to keep the Sanji and Pudding alive, and that is the case. That this is definitely a bummer. This next turn is probably going to be rough for us. I could play the 1 cost Charlotte Pudding, maybe find another blocker like our 8 cost Katakuri, but I go with the 10 cost Big Mom, heals us a life, trashes a life from them. I think if we can survive one more turn, we might be able to go for game if we drop another 10 cost Big Mom, or play down the 7 cost Sanji to rest whatever blocker they put up if they play a blocker. We'll see though. They will have the 6 cost Rush Luffy. I think they're just going to push for game here. Makes sense to me. We've got 3 life cards. They're going to be able to swing 6 times, which is pretty crazy. They're going to start out with a 6,000 power Zoro swing. We'll take that. We don't have any 2Ks in our hand, and I don't necessarily want to showcase that. We get another 10 cost Big Mom. This is kind of getting ridiculous, folks. We do not need another 10 cost Big Mom. 6,000 at us. We will counter out of that one with 2 1Ks. They probably know, oh, he doesn't have any 2Ks now. 7,000 with their Sanji and Pudding. We have to take that. Now the question is what they will swing with next. 7,000 with their leader. We are going to counter out of this with all 1Ks. That feels bad. And then will they swing double or swing twice with their secret rare Luffy? If they do, they basically say we're going to win here. And they would have won here if I didn't come through with a last life beige. Yet again, if I were them, I probably would rage quit. That is absolutely ridiculous. I don't feel like I was deserving of that win, folks. My draws weren't amazing, so maybe I was rewarded by divine luck of having that beige at the bottom of my life, but I definitely don't walk away from this game thinking, oh, Charlotte Pudding is actually great in the green-purple Luffy. On the contrary, maybe they were a little bit greedy. They did have a 6 cost Sanji blocker. They had 2 counter events in hand. I don't know, though, folks. Yeah, I guess we just take it. GG's. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the games I got for you today. What did you think about them? Honestly, that last one, Green Purple Luffy, I did not deserve to win that. Even I feel bad. I hate winning on a trigger like that just because it's so frustrating to be in your opponent's situation where you're about to win and then, of course, your opponent gets something like a beige. You just hate to see it, folks. If you made it this far in the video, you're a real one. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. If you made it this far in the video and you're not subscribed, what the heck are you doing? With that being said, folks, have an amazing rest of your day. This has been a Johnny TCG video. Peace! But seriously, though, don't forget to subscribe.